Whatever happened to the bill is coming due. RamView.
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the last screen. Headline,
Live from the RamCave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the April 28, 2025 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident, need help, got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word. KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. Back in the RamCave, finished with my board meeting. You know, I always wonder what does a president who's really into football do when there's a board meeting? Like Nixon was really into football, and they just won't end a cabinet meeting. It's like, bro, finish it. Put a name into it. Let's get out of here. And that was me over the weekend. So I was dying. Glad I got to be on Thursday night. Sorry I was not on Friday. I did not expect to be on Saturday. But good to be here. But I see some questions starting to load up there real quick. I'll take a look at them. But what really struck me again is because I came away very positive. I enjoyed Thursday night like I don't think I've ever enjoyed any night before, and the Rams didn't make a pick. I think it's knowing where the organization's at, knowing that they know what they're doing, just allowed us to just speculate and get excited, because I think as Ram fans that have come to understand who the McSneed group is, we've come to be, all right, cool, they got something going here. So I was really enjoying it, but as I kept seeing things play out over the weekend, as I'm cheating in looks while I'm in a meeting and I'm cheating looks at my my phone and my laptop, I couldn't help but think back to midway late in the 2021 season, as it spilled into January of 22, and everyone's saying, including Steeler fan Rob and every wannabe KBM dude out there, and even the KBN themselves, mostly the KBM, you know, oh, that bill's going to come due. All those draft picks, you know, that bill's going to come due. And I'm just kind of curious, when is the bill coming due? When is it coming due? The Rams are so much fun to watch right now, and so much fun to follow right now. In another 5 years, I'm hoping maybe not for another 10, when they have a different coach and a different GM, then maybe we'll have something to scream about during draft season, right? That's great for guys like me that do content, because now you got something to talk about. But, you know, they make a move now and we want to get mad about it. But it's like, you know what? We have to end every conversation with Snead and McVay know what they're doing, right? Not only did they make a smart move on Thursday night by trading out of the first round, but they actually commandeered a first-round pick in the 2026 draft. And now they have two, and they still have their 2027 first-rounder. So that if they really wanted to make some blockbuster number one pick deal, then oh my goodness, they can make that deal. They could be in a position in the 2026 draft to offer 3 number ones to a team, right? They can go full Sonny Weaver and move up for Bo Callahan, right? Say it with me, right? They can do that. This is the 9th McSnead draft, the collaboration of Sean McVay and Les Snead. And in 9 drafts, they've got 1 first rounder. In 8 completed seasons, 6 playoff appearances, 2 Super Bowls, a Super Bowl title, and just 1 losing season that was the result of the 2022 Chainsaw Massacre, right? I mean, that's it. And really something we need to think about again. I just marvel at it. Is we need to recognize and appreciate that we are in a golden age for Rams football, and we need to enjoy it. We really do, because we know these things don't last. All right. So thanks for clicking on, guys. I saw a few there, and questions. Oh yeah, they're rolling in. I do appreciate you guys being hanging with me. Real quick here, we're going to talk about the Rams draft, the Rams roster, and then we're going to go around the NFL. It's going to be a very 2-part show. We're going to do the Rams stuff, then we're going to look at the NFL, and then we'll see how we finish up from there. But let's first look at some questions that have rolled in. Let's see here. USA Expat, no cornerback drafted. Seems like they took your advice seriously about talent already being in the room. USA Expat, you were my ambassador of Quan, man. Absolutely, right? I was gloating. I sent a text out to some friends. I said, hey, can I get my flowers? Now, I know everyone's talking about, Jalen Ramsey, and I welcome it. I really do. But the Rams didn't draft a corner. They signed 17 undrafted free agents, and they didn't even sign a corner. The two DBs they signed were safeties. At least that's what it's showing. I got to believe it can't be all about Jalen Ramsey. It's got to be there's belief in Emmanuel Forbes. USA Expat, you nailed it. You made me feel good. USA Expat, 2 first-rounders next year, insane, right? And now we're in a position to do a Sonny Weaver, Bo Callahan type deal. Absolutely. Steve Ramirez is bye-bye Parkinson. I thought that too, but I imagine the Rams wouldn't go a whole season, but injuries are always there. He saves us some money. It's not great money, but he does save us some money if Parkinson's put in the street. But the other thing was, I thought the Rams were going to make a move last year when Higbee came back. And if you remember, the Rams finished the season with 4 tight ends: Hunter Long, Higbee, Davis Allen, and Colby Parkinson. Curious to see, right? Curious to see. But if they are going to move one out of the room, why not save the dough and move off of Parkinson? So I see that right there. USA Expat, stop fumbling or bye-bye Kyron. Yeah. And they did it before the extension. So yeah, I like Kyron. I think his fumbling problems are going to go away, but if they don't, or if his agent tries to talk him into asking for more bread, Jarquez Hunter was the only guy on the list of all the players the Rams spoke to, interviewed, worked out, that whole list. Jarquez Hunter from Auburn is the only one that they drafted. It's the only one they went after or even signed. Pretty fascinating there that they did that. Actually, first Ram running back drafted from Auburn since Trey Mason in 2014. Anybody remember Trey Mason? The last guy before Gurley, ran for over 800 yards, had an 89-yard run. I mean, Trey Mason looked pretty good that rookie year. And then, he disappeared into anonymity. Let's see here. Let's see, Manny Correa. What's up? Steve Ramirez. If say the Giants are really bad and they have the number 1 pick, would they move off Dart and pick Manning, or take 3 number 1s from, say, the Rams? I think, again, yeah. I think they're going to know. I think everyone's going to know right away. Probably like the Steelers did a little bit. It only took them a very short period of time to know Kenny Pickett didn't have it. I give the Giants credit is that they drafted Dart probably where he should have been drafted if you're going to take a run at him. If you're going to take a run at Jackson Dart, this is where you take a run at him. And if it doesn't work out, then you go back in. And if it's a huge bomb, and then or you make a deal. Yeah, if Dart turns out, let's just say Dart is a revelation. Let's just say that, right? Remember, Josh Allen turned around when he was connected with Brian Dable, right? Brian Dable got a playoff year out of Daniel Jones. And so I don't think Dart's an idiot either. He wouldn't have played for Lane Kiffin if he was. So if Jackson Dart looks really good, can you imagine the Giants could just trade right out? They wouldn't have to make a big deal. Yeah. I'm just not 100% Arch Manning. 90 passes, that's all he's thrown. I understand everybody loves him, but I'm a little leery there. Bill, I love the Poo-Paul pick. What a steal. That dude wasn't even on my radar at that point, right? He wasn't even on my radar. Of course, my radar was, meeting, nod, take a look, meeting, nod, take a look, as I was trying to. So that was a great pick, right? Days in the NBA, nights in the NFL. Tim Burns should grab up Seth McLaughlin, center, Ohio State. I believe he was the second-ranked center in the draft. Would that be after Jared Wilson, the guy from Georgia? That was the other thing. The Rams signed about 4 or 5 offensive linemen. I don't know all their positions, but not only did the Rams not draft a corner, they did not draft an offensive lineman. They didn't draft an offensive lineman anywhere. What does that tell us? To me, Rams not drafting an offensive lineman means I think they feel okay about Warren McClendon. I think they feel pretty good about KT Leviston. I think they feel pretty good about Justin Diedick. I think they feel pretty good that they could start the veteran Coleman Shelton, but they also got Bo Limmer, and the Rams didn't draft another center. I think I even speculated a few months ago after the Shelton signing, and I got a little irate about that, that, do they really believe in Bo Limmer? And if they didn't, that you can't say, okay, we don't believe in Bo Limmer, we're going to sign Coleman Shelton, not do anything in the draft. And they didn't do anything in the draft. So my belief is they still have a confidence in Bo Limmer. Coleman Shelton's there to push him, season him, and then we'll see. Yeah. Let's see. Manny Correa saying hi to everybody. Tim saying hi to Manny. Great. Bill, giving up a fourth rounder was too steep to move up for Hamilton. I thought about that at the time, and everyone's talking about next year's draft, but I think the Rams are just trying to get that depth along the line. Right now, we're looking at I'll look in the defensive line room. I was going to save it for a little bit later, but you bring in Ty Hamilton, 5th round pick, Braden Fisk, Poona Ford, Kobe Turner. Those guys are all solid. And then you got Tyler Davis, DeJuan Johnson. I think Corey Durden's still around. The European import, David Olajiga, and then Laurel Murchison. And then they signed a guy from Oklahoma, Dejon Terry, and Texas, Bill Norton were two of the guys they signed. So I think they're just looking for depth and rotation there along that line of scrimmage. And we kind of said it. We were glad they signed Poona Ford, but we were talking about it as the offseason approached that we really needed that toilet clogger. I don't think Ty Hamilton's that toilet clogger, but he is another guy to run on that defensive line. So that's kind of exciting. Let's see. Bill, Ramsey has to be on his way. I'm good. I just want to make sure that it's not and again, you got to trust McSnead, right? Even if we get him and he works out the contract details and stuff, he's going to have to give money away to come back here. But even if we do that, he is not the shutdown corner guy he was in 2019. He's just not that guy anymore. He's a great football player. And so you're still going to need somebody younger that's going to be able to show him that, because if he comes in, that means you got Witherspoon, Darius Williams, and Ramsey as key guys that are all in their 30s. So, yeah. And I don't know if Witherspoon's there yet, but I think he's getting there. Let's see. Bill, I am shocked the Rams waited till the 7th round to pick up a receiver. Yeah, and I haven't even heard of this guy. I have to totally admit, that's the kid from Pitt. Is that the kid from Pittsburgh? Yeah. I had no idea who Kanata Mumpfield is. He's a contested catch guy. He's 6'1", 185. Rams saw something they liked. So I didn't know where that guy came from. No offensive lineman, no corner, and then they waited till the 7th pick to draft a wide receiver. Blew all of our stuff out of the water, and only the Rams, right? Only less than, I sound like such a homer here, but only the Rams could not draft a corner, an offensive lineman, and wait till the 7th round to draft a wide receiver, and we'd still come back and say, wow, this is a pretty good draft. They did some good stuff here, and still be excited. Let's see. Tim Burns, Shador not being prepared and mouthy to boot is no surprise. Coaches didn't want Coach Prime beating down their neck. Should I dive in to the Shador thing now? Let me finish with the Ram stuff, Mr. Burns, and I'll talk Shador. Tribe. Joe, I loved all the linebackers. If they had stopped Saquon last year, might have won a ring. Bingo. There you go. And again, look at that linebacker room real quick here. Nate Landman, they signed him. They signed Omar Spates. They've got Omar Spates, but he's coming back for a second year. You got some veteran stuff there with Troy Reeder, and you got Chris Paul Jr. And then I got word from somebody, I think it was Mr. Powers out there in Irvine. He's got some info or some inside skinny about Sean Dolak, the inside linebacker from Buffalo that the Rams signed as an undrafted free agent. And then let alone Elias Neal is coming back, Tony Fields, those guys. So the Rams made some moves in that linebacker room, and I'm anxious to see. Whenever the Rams draft a linebacker, it's a big deal. Let's see. Tim Burns, Chris Paul. We don't need a point guard. Bill Dolick. Oh, okay. Bill, you saw it too. Yeah, you're not the one. You're kind of collaborating what Mr. Powers sent to me. Dolick, inside linebacker, Buffalo. Great undrafted free agent signing. All right. So we're getting some consensus here around the horn. Bill's East Coast, Irvine's West Coast. We got it covered. Nice work. Steve Ramirez. Did you see Shelton's quote? I didn't come here to back. Oh, you're talking about Shelton. Shelton who, man? Are you Shadur or Shelton? I didn't come here to back anyone up. Straighten that one up for me, man. I'm in Ram mode right now, and I might have lost that one. I think you said Shadur. Anyway, let me see. Tim Burns, I agree. Gramsci had to have said he is coming. Yeah. USA Expat. Undrafted free agents last year, points out Woods and Wallace, along with Forbes, all might take a giant step in year two. Overlooked, right? Overlooked. Wallace got playing time last year. He got snaps. And as we get in between OTAs and from away from the draft, we'll start looking at snap counts again. I don't really care about starters as much as I care about snap counts because everything's so fluid, especially on defense these days. We want to look at snap counts, but Josh Wallace got snap counts, and Woods was on the active roster for most of the year. Let's see. Willie Bowen, no offense. Why did the Rams draft undersized player? LA Rams still need an offensive tackle. Well, I guess they felt like they didn't need to. Like Chris Paul, says Manny Correa, at 6'2", at 6 foot 220, seems small, but he moves. That's what I've been told, is that he moves, and I think that's what they're looking for, search and destroy guys. Manuel Correa, UDFA, Trey Wettig, Indiana, 6'5", 310, right tackle. Okay, so he does play right tackle, so he develops great. You don't think you expect a UDFA to play right away, but eventually AJ Curry is going to run out of time here. Let's see. Manny Correa, Sean Dolak also. Okay, so there we go. Yeah, I don't think the days of the run pluggers, man. The Mark Giroux, Carl Eckert types are pretty much gone, I think. They want these guys to be able to run and stay in coverage. Rams only draft 6 players. I can't believe it. Yeah. So yeah, it was a small draft class. Very small draft. Coleman Shelton said it last week. He didn't come here to back anyone up. If Burns can improve, if Limmer can improve on what he did last year, he's better than Coleman Shelton. If he can improve on it, we give him a lot of benefit of the doubt last year because he was a rookie, a 6th rounder. But if he can build on that, I really don't care. Sorry, Coleman, and that's a tough one for Les if they gave Coleman that money. And if the Rams' desire really is for Coleman Shelton to be the starter, then that's a swing and a miss by the Rams because we've all seen Coleman Shelton. He's limited. I went crazy on that day. Let's see. Let's see. How many fullbacks got drafted? I don't know, Burns. We gotta let Willie check that one out. Manny Cornelius, Joe, Canona Mumfield Pitt is fire. Okay, I'll believe you. Completely off my radar. I'm not gonna try to deke you guys and make you think that I had him on my radar. I didn't. Michael Negretti, hola, Pastor Joe. The Rams signed one of Genty's offensive linemen and one of Hampton's offensive linemen. Okay, yeah, they got Ben Dooley from Boise State and Willie Lampkin from North Carolina. Good pull there. Good pull there, man. Negretti, good job. Bill, there was a football expert who had Pooh Paul rated higher than Campbell. Oh, really? Do you buy that? I don't know. That'd be great if it's true. Be really great if it's true. The one receiver that of course, as a USC guy, I remember Mario Williams, who had transferred out, but Louisiana Tech wide receiver True Edwards. I had actually heard his name in the offseason or in the build up to the draft, but I didn't see anything about the Rams interviewing him. Let's see here. Tim Burns, my friend is Raider fan happy. He pulled Genty and Jack Besh. Yeah, we'll get to that real quick here. We'll get to that. So this is what it looks like. The Rams took Terrence Ferguson, tight end, out of Oregon. And he was not, all those tight ends the Rams spoke to, he wasn't anywhere on the radar. So this is the second consecutive year that, man, it used to be a few years ago, if you wanted to track where the Rams were, who were they interviewing? Who were they interviewing twice? And who was at the Senior Bowl? And that's kind of where it was for a few years there. And you got a kind of a grip on where the Rams were looking, and it's not like that anymore. And so Terrence Ferguson, I think we all were aware he was out there, but that's interesting pick. Yeah, I'm glad they did it. I think it looks great. And yeah, it does put Colby Parkinson in a weird spot, but the Rams haven't but what is it? They did play with 4 tight ends the back half of last year. At number 90, they took a Michigan man, Josiah Stewart. They say he's a little undersized, but he's got a motor. And of course, if he's a Michigan guy, high character. And so yeah, that's great. There's your Hoyt replacement. There's the guys that put Nick Hampton and Brennan Jackson on the spot. So good thing to see there. Jarquez Hunter out of Auburn, first Ram running back taken out of Auburn since Trey Mason was 375 back in 2014. Hunter's taken 117. I loved how the Rams used their 4 6th-round picks to use it as draft capital to move up and get players they wanted. That was brilliant. Jarquez Hunter, Blake Corum, Kyron Williams. If we're going to say bye to anybody, maybe we end up saying bye to Ronnie Rivers and even Cody Schrader, who I was honking for. Maybe his days are numbered as well. At number 148 in the 5th round, the Ohio State guy, we talked about Ty Hamilton, depth piece, rotational piece. I was good with that one. Number 5, 172 overall, the guy we're talking about right now that a lot of people, he's kind of the underrated pick. That's a lot of people are saying, I can't believe this guy lasted that long. Chris Paul Jr. out of Ole Miss, linebacker. It's going to be fun to see if this guy can, we've been getting away with undrafted free agents. If he could develop and push these guys, that's exciting. And then Kanata Mumfield was nowhere on my radar out of Pittsburgh. No offensive linemen, no wide receivers until the 7th round. And again, can I get my flowers for Emmanuel Forbes, right? Offensive line, as of right now, I know they brought in these undrafted free agents, but it took Alaric Jackson a few years, right, to develop. So right now, it's Warren McClendon. It's KT Levinston. It's Bo Limmer. It's Justin Diedick. It's even AJ Curry. So see what they do with those guys. And then again, 17 undrafted free agents, 4 offensive linemen, Wyatt Bowles, Utah State, Ben Dooley, Boise State, Willie Lampkin, North Carolina. I didn't have the dimensions on Indiana guy, Trey Wedig, right tackle, 6'5", 310. There's something to work with there. The wide receivers, Mario Williams, True Edwards, and Oklahoma State's Brennan Presley. They signed 2 more tight ends, Louisville's Mark Redmond, Toledo's Anthony Torres. 1 running back, North Carolina State running back Jordan Waters. We talked about Dolak, inside linebacker, plus Rice, outside linebacker Josh Piercy, and USC outside linebacker Jamal Mohammed. And then 2 defensive linemen, Bill Norton, Texas, DeJoun Terry, Oklahoma. And then 2 safeties, Malik Dixon Williams out of Connecticut, and Nate Valcarcel, who I've had people send me stuff out of Northern Illinois say he's total Ram fit in terms of character and exactly what the team is looking for. All right, let's see here. Willie Bowen, 2 fullbacks got drafted. Okay. And let's see. I think the Giants took Scattaboo there. Michael Negretti, I am excited about Sean Dolak. All right. That's awesome when you guys are pushing me to work harder here. Steve Ramirez, interesting the Rams didn't sign a UDFA to push Bennett or just to be another camp arm, right, Steve? Just a camp arm, just a dresser win type to be that 4th guy who could throw, just because even when you're not pushing Stafford, you're not going to push Jimmy G either. So yeah, I am surprised. That's got to be in the offing, right? That's got to be coming. Bill Jarquez, love Jarquez Hunter highlight reel. Could be the end of Reader finally, Bill. Could be. I think he's going to be a coach. He's going to linger. He's going to hang around. I don't think it's necessarily the end of John Johnson either. I just don't. These are guys the Rams kind of like keeping storage and pull them out when they need them. Let's see. Manu Korea, Ben Cooley, Boise State, also played tackle. Okay. Did he play right tackle? Let's see. Willie saying hi to Steve. Bill, I think the Rams cut Johnson if they sign Ramsey. Well, there's your veteran presence, right? Johnson's gone. Johnson, he's a free agent right now, but yeah, you're looking for that veteran guy. The interesting thing is, I don't even think JJ's 30 years old yet. For as long as he's been around, he's not even 30. Manuel Vasquez, Chris Paul Jr. is great value where they got him. Yeah, that's really buzzing around. Bill, I love Willie Lampkin. Let's see. Manny Correa, Willie Lampkin, 5'10", 290. So he's a guard. I imagine he's a guard. Tim Burns, I hear the Browns are going to try to run 2 quarterbacks at once. I know you're joking there, Mr. Burns. Tell me you're joking, right? Manny Correa, Jamal Mohammed, Edge, USC, UDFA. Willie, okay. Yeah, USC defense just hasn't been too much, so maybe it'll translate to the NFL. Let's see. Willie Bowen, bring back Jalen Ramsey. Noted. Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe, the Rams will probably wait to sign an old lineman when the cuts are made. I could see that. We see that all the time, right? I see that. Manny Correa, Josiah Stewart is going to be fire. All right. I hope so. I'm down. All right. Stafford, Garoppolo, Betson, Bennett in that quarterback room. Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, Jarquez Hunter, Cody Schrader, Ronnie Rivers, Royce Freeman, and Jordan Waters in the running back room. The wide receivers, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Jordan Whittington, Tutu Atwell, and then you get into Drake Stoops, Quintez Cephas, Xavier Smith, Kanata Mumfield, Mario Williams, Drew Edwards, and Brennan Presley. Tight ends, Davis Allen, Colby Parkinson, Tyler Higbee, and Terrence Ferguson, let alone the 2 UDFAs, Mark Redmond and Anthony Torres. All right, those are the guys there. Offensive line, same crowd. Everyone is still there. We've rattled them all off. They did not draft Jared Wilson. So I'm anxious for a really knockdown, drag-out battle at center this summer. And let's see. I think I've went over most of the list of all these guys. The cornerback room, as it stands right now, has not changed. Darius Williams, Kobe Durant, Akilah Witherspoon, Josh Wallace, Charles Woods, Emmanuel Forbes, Darian Kendrick, Sean Jolly, A.G. Green, and Cam Lampkin. Another guy to keep an eye on there is Darian Kendrick. I'm just really curious to see how Darian – I could say they believe in Forbes, but I could also say they're confident about getting Darian Kendrick back. So interesting how that cornerback room is looking. Safeties, Cam Curl, Quentin Lake, Cam Kitchens, and Jalen McCullough. And then you got Tanner Engel, and then the 2 UDFAs they signed. Josiah Stewart is going to fit in real well in that Rams edge room. Kerr Thomas is one name we hadn't mentioned. And I didn't see a camp leg brought in as a punter or a kicker to help with Josh Carty or Ethan Evans. So along with quarterback, that to me makes me believe there's probably somebody they're going to sign and somebody they're going to cut a week after he signs his contract here. That's a UDFA. All right, let's look at around the NFL and other places real quick. Manny Correa has done his homework. Josh Piercy-Rice, also a good outside linebacker. Bill, Dolphins save $6 million on cap if they trade after June 1st. Might have to wait. Good call there. That's something to keep an eye on. Michael Negretti, Arch Manning next year. I know that's the sweet talk, but I think he's good. I don't know yet, right? I don't know. I just do not know. All right. Titans draft Cam Ward, number 1. The rest of their draft looks pretty interesting. They're the ones that took Gunnar Helm, the Texas tight end, at 4th round, 120 overall. Cam Ward's the 3rd quarterback in the last 3 years the Titans have drafted. Malik Willis in the 3rd round in 2022. Will Levis in the second round in 2023, and Cam Ward first round here in 2024. Also, the Titans took Jackson Slater, the Sacramento State guard that the Rams had interviewed. And previously, they'd signed Tyler Lockett, Van Jefferson, former Steeler tackle Dan Moore, and former Ram punter John E. Hecker. I'm just following the draft order here, guys, not necessarily doing this by division. I know the Jaguars took some heat for the Travis Hunter deal. They gave a fifth, the 36th overall, 126, and a first round next year. I think the first round next year is what people are kind of upset about. But you get a chance to pair Travis Hunter with Brian Thomas. That one's interesting. And then they drafted running back Bashil Tootin, running back out of Virginia Tech. There was a lot of buzz about him. Jack Kaiser, linebacker, Notre Dame, went to the Jaguars. The Jaguars also signed Johnny Munt this offseason. I just had to get that in there. There we go. I know there's plenty of Johnny Munt fans out there. The Giants made their deal. They drafted Abdul Carter. I didn't like it because they got Thibodeau and Burns. I just think you need offense. But they did make that move to move back into the first round, and they took Jackson Dart. I think you take him where right there is a good risk. If he flails, he flails. A new coach and a new GM will draft Arch Manning if they get a shot. But they took Jackson Dart, number 25th. It looks like a Rams mock draft. Jackson Dart in the first round, Cam Scatabo in the fourth round, and Thomas Fedone. Sorry, guys. I know a lot of you guys had a thing for Thomas Fedone out of Nebraska. He went in the seventh round to the Giants. The Patriots move is Patriots had they're off season, right? Harold Landry, Morgan Moses, Carlton Davis, Milton Williams, Robert Spillane, Garrett Bradbury, Stephon Diggs. Then they drafted Will Campbell to be the other tackle. Then they got Trayvon Henderson, running back, Ohio State. That is huge. They got Jared Wilson, the center out of Georgia at number 95 to back up Garrett Bradbury. They got Josh Farmer out of Florida State in the fourth round, another guy that had been rumored to the Rams. This was a great draft, and it's a great offseason for the Patriots. Really great offseason. The Browns took Mason Graham at number 5. And then they took Carson Schwessinger, the UCLA guy, at number 33. They took Harold Fanning, the tight end out of Bowling Green, at 67 overall. And then they drafted Dylan Gabriel at 94. And, of course, they were the ones that bit on Shedeur Sanders. And I guess we got to talk about that a little bit. So the quarterback room is Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders. Talent alone, I'm going to say this right now, and then I'll look at everything, and I'll talk a little bit here. I know I should go back to the questions. You guys are awesome. Shedeur Sanders is a late first, probably 21st overall to the top 50. That's where he should have been drafted. He's a good quarterback, okay? He's a really good quarterback. And he's going to this quarterback room. We're going to find out a whole lot about him real fast because the only reason I don't see him starting is if Kevin Stefanski says he wants to go with Joe Flacco the first 2 weeks just to get, Shedeur up to game speed. But he should be. This was a great place for him to land after all the drama. That said, if he doesn't become the starting quarterback by mid-season next year, then, yeah, I think everybody was right on this guy. He should be. We like Dylan Gabriel, but Shedeur Sanders is better. Joe Flacco is older than Methuselah. And, not even the rain when it comes to Kenny Pickett has such small hands, to quote EE. But the thing about Shedeur, the stuff that came out, if it's true, he sandbagged. If he thought this was a strategy, that he gave bad interviews, no one's going to put up with it, right? And where the Steelers, I was all over Steeler fan Rob, but they should have drafted him, or they should have drafted Jackson Dart. They didn't, and everybody else, no one else did either. They did it to themselves. Shedeur Sanders tried to play a game his dad played, but his dad was a top 10 talent of all time. Shedeur's not, right? We know who Deion Sanders is. We really don't know who his son is because when Deion didn't come up, there wasn't Deion Sanders Sr. hanging around him, kind of protecting him from the adversity. And so, yeah, And then, of course, the KBM comes in, ESPN, they wouldn't have a station if they couldn't talk about race. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know. I don't even know your ethnicities out there. But if anyone thinks Shedeur Sanders wasn't drafted because, he's black, you're crazy. If you think it was because he's an intelligent black man. So an intelligent black man is based on the chains he wears, the rappers he hangs with, and the bling he shows when he's flashing everything. But Cam Ward, that's not an intelligent black man, right? That's not an intelligent black. What is it? That's ridiculous. It's the culture talking, and it's the KBM talking. It's trying to stay relevant. It's bondage to the culture, and it's terrible. So I'm sorry Shedeur Sanders fell. He probably went to a better place, but he brought this on himself, and so did his dad. And that's just all there is. Was he a first round or second round talent? Absolutely, he is. He is. I hope he does really well, but man, sometimes you got to keep your mouth shut. Now it goes back to the people they're saying that pranked and they were racist. White guys got pranked too. Everybody got pranked. I was a prank caller when I was a kid. That's why I put out my social media today. Has anyone ever dialed 867-5309 and asked for Jenny? Right? I've done that. I've called the supermarket and asked them if they had pig's feet. And when they say they do, I say, well, what kind of shoes do you wear? We all know Prince Albert in the can. You better let him out. We know all those stupid prank call jokes, right? I'll even tell you a story. When I was a teenager, my nephew and I called one of the phone sex lines just to mess with them. And we talked the worst trash to them, from a moral high ground when they found out we were teens screwing around with them. Teenagers screw around on the phone. Young people, adolescence is extended nowadays into the 20s. They screw around. And from what I understand, from what I heard, the guy from Atlanta, Albright's son, called and apologized to Shedeur. And Shedeur, I guess, was very gracious. So good for the kid, right? But with all that said, Shedeur fell because he opened his mouth and talked a lot of neck. So did Dion. And you knew that with Dion when Dion came back and said, oh, man, my kid will play for anybody. They knew what was going on. And so now he gets a chance to rebuild it. He's going to beat out Dylan Gabriel. Flacco, he should beat out Flacco. If he can't beat out Flacco or Kenny Pickett, then everyone was right. He's not a serious NFL talent. I think he's a good quarterback, and I think he'll do well. All right, let's see here. I'll take some questions here before we move on. Let's see. Manu Creon, Willie Lampkin played guard and center. Arch Manning means goodbye to Stetson Bennett. Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. Michael Negretti, 0-17 would be great for the Falcons. I know. Have you ever decided that what team you're going to root against really hard this year? And the Rams play the Falcons in Georgia this year. Bill, who gets more snaps, Hunter or Corum? I got to believe Corum, because the one thing I heard in Hunter's game that it's not refined yet, pass protection. I have heard that. Maybe somebody else has too. Bill, was Sanders that bad of an interviewer? News leaked today that he sandbagged some of these interviews to keep from getting drafted by some teams, right? When there's a lot of I and not a lot of we, that is a turnoff, right? That is a turnoff. Let's see. Tribe called Willie Bowen to GOAT. Bill, any quarterbacks out there besides Arch Manning who are franchise-type players? One guy said, keep an eye on Drew Aller from Penn State. I'm a little leery of Penn State quarterbacks, but that'd be one name. I haven't did a breakdown of the 2026 quarterbacks yet. That's a good thing for me to do. Good call there, Bill. Tim Burns, the Browns have announced they are planning to have Sanders Shedeur statue erected by preseason. Okay. And if they don't, Ryan Clark's going to call them a racist. Michael Negretti, Sanders wasn't drafted higher because of his big mouth dad, Dion the. Yeah, there you go. Tim Burns is Prime the LeVar Ball of the NFL. Well, I like what Prime's done in Colorado. I really have. He's done a great job there. Now I want to see him do it without his son. I was really happy he signed an extension there. So I hope he just continues on and does well. I like Prime because he kind of exploits the fraudulence of the NCAA on how they abuse people for so many years. And it's all business there. It's not education. It's all business. And so I always kind of root for Colorado a little bit. The Colorado Rocky Mountain Prime, right? Let's see, USA X-Pac. There are a few great quarterback prospects besides Arch. Yes, there are. Chris Childers, thank you for joining in, Chris. You think Chris Paul Jr. is going to be our starting inside linebacker? If he had gone where he was supposed to go or anticipated going, I would say he better be a starter. I still think he could be. Landman's a slight upgrade from Roseboom. Spades was an undrafted free agent who exceeded expectations, but also he's got some speed and he's going to be better. He's going to be smarter this year in the things he does. So I think there's definitely room for Chris Paul. If Paul's playing behind Troy Reeder, it's because maybe he doesn't understand Chris Shula's defense. I think that's probably one of the better picks the Rams have had. I think we all liked everything else, but I think that one surprised us. Cleveland Browns is going to be in the toilet bowl. There we go, Willie Bowen. All right. Let's see. I didn't get anything from you guys. Did anybody make prank phone calls when you were young? I'd like to know. Raiders, Ashton Genty. What a great selection there. So Pete Carroll, they bring in Geno Smith, they extend him. They bring in a veteran linebacker, Devon White, right? They signed Alex Kappa. They extend Max Crosby and Isaiah Polamau. Chip Kelly's the OC, right? They bring in Raheem Mostert, who for a guy in his early 30s can still scoot pretty good. So you got a compliment to Ashton Genty. And then you got Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, and now you add TCU receiver Jack Besh to that group. Dang. Now, if they get Colton Miller worked out on that offensive line, the contract-wise, I really like what the Raiders are doing. I do. Then they took cornerback Darian Porter, Iowa State. That one was pretty good. J.J. Puigs, the Mississippi State DT that a lot of people were in love with. Really excited. Guy that I had no idea, the quarterback from North Dakota State, Cam Miller, I've heard good things about. So I really like what the Raiders are doing. It's a good time to be a Raider fan right now. You got to be feeling some hope going forward. Jets grab Armand Membu in the first round, 7th overall, and I think they're feeling really good about him. They also drafted Mason Taylor, tight end, in the 2nd round. They also drafted Oz Thomas, Florida State. That looks a lot like Rams mock. And then for Manny Correa, I say this to you, in the 5th round, 162 overall, the Jets took Miami linebacker Francisco Mauigoa. I think he was your dude, man. I think he was your dude. Interesting, too, Jets didn't reach for another quarterback, meaning that Justin Fields, boy, they're going to dance with him. Kept hearing rumors the Rams are trading up for this guy, but the Panthers made the move to Torra McMillan, the Tet offensive. They made that move, and then they brought in 2 edge guys after him. That's the big play there. The other guys don't stand out to me as much, but I'm interested to see how McMillan does with Bryce Young. So they're good for the Panthers. Saints took Kelvin Banks after Dave Ramczyk retired. They also took Tyler Show. Tyler Show was a guy the Rams had interviewed. He's the guy that's about 36 years old. He's after the Scott Bakula of this year's draft. And he went 40th overall to the Saints. And everyone's saying he's got game. It's just, he's been injured and he hung around in college forever. He was a Justin Herbert's backup at Oregon for a while. And but they took him, and this guy has a chance to play. Spencer Rattler, Jake Hayner, no. And then Derek Carr's got the bum shoulder they're not sure about. So Tyler Shug has a chance to play this year. That'll be interesting to watch. And then the Saints, 3rd round, they took Jonas Sanker, a guy the Rams had spoken to. Then in the 4th round, they took Danny Stutzman, linebacker out of Oklahoma, who the Rams had interviewed. They also signed Jonah Williams, former Ram. They signed Brandon Cooks, former Ram. And so the Saints are trying to hang around. They really should be in full rebuild. Bears surprised everybody with Colston Loveland. We talked about that. But then they brought in Luther Burden, number 39 overall, out of Missouri. Shamar Turner out of Texas A&M. There's some guys here. They brought the Bears are really trying to change their culture. Bears, Steelers, always defensive culture. Something's changing here with the Bears that I think is going to be beneficial, not changing for the Steelers, which is going to leave them behind. Looking at the 49ers draft, I wasn't overall we're going to see all these guys pan out, but there was nothing there that really excited me. Monkel Williams out of Georgia, Upton Stout, corner, the Rams had interviewed out of Western Kentucky. A lot of draft picks in a not so great draft. They also took Curtis Rourke out of Indiana. So yeah, we'll see how it plays out. I'm not frightened by what the 49ers did. Cowboys had a good draft. Tyler Booker. Then they followed that with the edge rusher from Boston College. They followed that with the cornerback from East Carolina, Siobhan Revelle. They followed that with the Texas running back, Jaden Blue. They followed that with Shamar Thomas. So really good draft for the Cowboys. Dolphins took Kenneth Grant, the Michigan guy. They took him a little higher than most people thought. And then they ended up taking Quinn Ewers, 7th overall. You think there was anybody at the end of the 2024 season that thought Quinn Ewers would go 7th round? I think what hurt Quinn Ewers was the college playoff. Is the more you got to see him, the less you liked him. So you got Tua, Zach Wilson, and Quinn Ewers in that quarterback room with the Dolphins. Colts took Tyler Warren and a bunch of guys here. They also took Riley Leonard in the 6th round. I like the Colts. Colts just don't have a quarterback. And it's up to Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson. And, if Riley Leonard's playing, that means they may be looking for a new head coach very soon. Falcons took Jalen Walker, who dropped to 15, and then made that big deal with the Rams to take James Pierce, who people had a lot of questions about. And they ended up only getting 5 draft picks this year. Something happens to Penix. Something happened. They got a good offense. They're hoping this is the answer for their defense. They also took Xavier Watts, safety out of Notre Dame. Let's see here. Cardinals was graded as one of the best drafts, and they loaded up almost exclusively on defense. Walter Nolan, Mississippi. Will Johnson dropped from a top 10 corner all the way to number 47. I think people are worried about his injury issues. They had a Denzel Burke, Ohio State. They had a huge defensive draft here, and they're building, right? Baron Browning got back. Josh Sweat came in. Dalvin Tomlinson, Calais Campbell. Cardinals are the team I worry about. Bengals took Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M, and then they followed that with Demetrius Knight. I really like Demetrius Knight out of South Carolina. If those two guys hit and they find a way to keep Trev Hendrickson, they might be in business there in Cincy. Seahawks, everyone loved their draft with Gray Zabel. Then they took Nick Emanawari, the safety out of South Carolina. They took Elijah Arroyo, the tight end out of Miami, Jalen Milroe, but they also took Colorado State wide receiver Tony Horton, who had been linked to the Rams through interviews as well. So Seahawks did a good job, but right now they're not the team that bothers me as much as the Cardinals. Rams, Cardinals, Seahawks, 49ers is how it looks like in the West to me. Buccaneers took Emeka Egbuka. They also took Tez Johnson with their last pick, Benjamin Morrison. Buccaneers are looking good. Broncos, they took the Jody Barron, so they're loading up there. R.J. Harvey, the UCF Central Florida running back, heard a little bit about him, not too much. And the Steelers had 8 draft picks. They drafted 6 defensive players: Derek Harmon, Jack Sawyer, Carson Bruner. And then they took Caleb Johnson, which some people are not high on Caleb Johnson, and Will Howard in the 6th round. But, they got Mason Rudolph at quarterback, so they're ready to roll. Chargers took Amarian Hampton out of North Carolina. I thought that was a good pick. I loved Trey Harris at number 55. That's what Justin Herbert needed. That's what he needed. Packers, Matthew Golden, Anthony Belton, and Savion Williams from TCU, another wide receiver. So they just keep loading up and doing the things that they do there in Green Bay. Vikings took Donovan Jackson. That was a good pick for them. Malachi Starks went to the Ravens, who also took Teddy Buchanan, who was being pushed a lot on this board, the linebacker out of California. And then you get to the Lions, did a good job. They drafted in the 10 trenches. And then they took wide receiver Isaac Tesla out of Arkansas. That was a good move. I thought the Lions had a really good offseason considering they lost their OC and DC. Josh Connerly is going to be matched up with Laramie Tunsil there with the Taxkins. And the Taxkins also at number 61 took Trey Amos, who had been projected to the Rams. Another guy projected to the Rams, Maxwell Hairston out of Kentucky, went to the Bills. And they also got Deion Walker out of Kentucky, who I was kind of hoping for there to plug up their middle. And then the Chiefs were interesting. They took a linebacker, they took a safety, they took a defensive tackle. No, I'm sorry, my bad. Let me fix this real quick here. The Chiefs took Josh Simmons, the offensive lineman. Then they took an edge. They took a defensive tackle, corner, and everything. They drafted one receiver, Jalen Royals, out of Utah State. But I thought they'd be a little more heavy on the offense, and they weren't. Eagles went almost exclusively defense. Their first 5 picks, they did. First 5 picks. Jihad Campbell, Andrew Makuba, Ty Robinson, Mac Williams. They were all defensive players there in Philly. And the Texans, after they traded out of the first round, took Jaden Higgins, wide receiver, Iowa State, and Ariante Irsay, tackle out of Minnesota. That was a good pick for them. They drafted Graham Mertz. What world tells you that Graham Mertz was going to be drafted? Graham Mertz is the guy that gives me hope that I could have played in the NFL. All right. There we go. Let me get through your questions here, guys. I went through that really quick. I know you guys were letting these things pile up there, and I didn't get to them. Let's see. Willie Bowen, yes, I did prank phone calls, but you can't do it now because it's easy to track. Yes, absolutely. So no youngster will ever know that thrill. Let's see. Bill, did you ever get a call, wrong phone call, and make pretend that you are that person and see how long they play around? I've done that. I've done that a little bit. One thing I did, I got a spam phone caller once, and I did the Kramer from Seinfeld. I said, hello, and welcome to Movie Phone. I've done that one. Let's see, Willie Bowen. Purdy's contract is going to bankrupt the Winers. They gave him 50 rocks. We're going to have to get on that on Wednesday. They gave him 51 rocks, didn't they? Tell me if I'm wrong or right, but that's what I heard. Steve Ramirez, I didn't get Milroe to the Seahawks. Usually you want your backup quarterback to have similar traits as your starter. Well, I think they went Drew Lock. They re-signed Drew Lock. I don't know what they're going to do with Milroe. Now, they said he's a great athlete, but he's going to be a quarterback. So I would have thought maybe until he's ready to run, maybe you put a couple packages in for him. But Drew Lock was the guy they signed. So I imagine he's going to sit a little bit, and maybe they groom him, see if he can develop. And then, when the clock finally runs out on Sam Darnold, which it will, maybe he'll be ready to step up. USA Expat, as always, I will be counting the days waiting for OTAs. Yes. Watch the interviews, guys. The interviews at OTAs give you a good. The Rams post them on their site. They're really interesting to see, and you glean a few things from there. Let's see. Tim Burns, odd question. Whole world said no to Isaiah Bond. If he got Ariza, it would be bad. Does the NFL get police reports? I don't know. So Bond didn't get drafted. And you see, that's a guy, unless he's a complete jerk or something, or I was impressed that he fought it back. He filed a countersuit, right? And stuff. But I'm curious. Yeah, I'm curious about him. Was he guilty? Was he a sociopath? And that's why he's countersuing? I think Matt Ariza, he should sue somebody. He should sue the league, actually, because he was blackballed. He really was. And somebody's going to pay the price for that. He's more forgiving than I am on that. And the reason I say that forgiving is that we can forgive the individual. What's hard to do is to get back your name. What I would want from the NFL is not only compensation, another year worth of salary for a rookie, but what I would want the NFL, I wouldn't want Roger Goodell to get up there and say, yeah, we backballed this kid and we were wrong. That's what I want, because once you lose your name, you lost your name, right? You lost your name. Would you ever say you're a Duke lacrosse player, right? Even though we know the truth now, but would you ever come out and say you're a Duke lacrosse player? No, you wouldn't. Let's see. Steve Ramirez, Pat signed Bond, as a UDFA, and he ain't going to get away with crud with Vrabel. But, man, if he is, if he is what everyone was thinking was before that news broke on him, if he's anything that, then they got Drake May a weapon. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. There you go. Thanks, Steve. Michael Negretti, an all LA Super Bowl, Pastor Joe. I don't know if I can handle that. I think I'd stress a little too much because I hate the Chargers, you know, and I don't hate them. I shouldn't say that. I want Harbaugh to do well, but you don't want to hear Charger fans talking like they own SoFi when they're just renters, right? Yeah. Let's see. Bill, what did Bond do? It was basically it was some kind of sexual assault. That's what I was told. That's what I read, I think. They signed James Bond. That's funny. Chris Children, I love our new tight end. Yeah, I love the possibilities with him. I really do. Willie Bowen, Chris, you're talking about Fergie. Yeah. There we go. Tim Burns, solid Areza take, Joe T. Thank you very much. All right. I did not have it on my list. Let me do Chargers, renters or squatters. Well, they actually are paying some money, but yeah. Charger fan, you know, again, can what's the word? Can how is it? Harbaugh overcome that negative Spanos mojo? That's the thing, right? That's the thing. Can they overcome that? Right. So there you go. Let's see. Charlie Cowan. We're not on the air tomorrow, but Charlie Cowan passed away on April 29th, 1998 at the age of 59. He was a fourth-round pick of the Rams in 1961. The same draft they got Marlon McKeever, Bobby Smith, Joe Schiavelli, and Deacon Jones. 6'4", 264, which was huge in those days. 206 games, 186 games as a starter. Played from 61 through 75. Started off at left guard, right tackle when Bob Brown came. Spent his last 7 seasons as a left tackle. Only missed 4 games his entire career. 3-time Pro Bowler. He was done in by kidney failure that hit in 1988, and he was forced to go on dialysis. And he's one of those first tragic stories that you read about in Rams history in football that I knew of, where he wasn't getting enough money. There was no help coming from the NFL. And I remember I was on my college paper at that time, and when the NFL went on strike in '87, and I remember writing a couple columns just talking about, you know, the NFL, that they were arguing for free agency, but, you know, how about something better for their retired players who helped build the league? And that's still an issue, right? That's still an issue to this day. So just want to remember Charlie Cowan, Mignana. Let's see. Rob, Steeler fan Rob, getting younger and better in the trenches won't leave us behind. I think you only and Mel Kiper were drinking the Kool-Aid on this year's quarterback class. What are you going to do? You're going to sign a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers, trust in Will Howard, trust in Mason Rudolph, right? Is Minka Fitzpatrick getting any younger? Is TJ Watt getting any younger? Every other week there's some kind of growing pull with him. You know, are these guys getting any younger? Right? Right now, if those defensive players hit for Cincy, you're not getting past Cincy. You know, Baltimore is really good, right? You're lucky Cleveland's there, or you'd be in real trouble. Let's see. Michael Negretti, the Chargers will always be Dan Diego. There you go. Steve Ramirez, renters. Kroenke gets Chargers PSL money. There you go. USA Expat. Hope he gets all of the Chargers parking and concessions too. You know, I if I would have known it growing up, I would have gone into the parking lot business, because, you know, Frank McCourt still owns the Dodgers parking lot. In this whole great epic run for the Dodgers, every time you drive into the stadium and you hand over your cash, that's all going to Frank McCourt, man. What a job. That's not even like a laundromat. Someone told me laundromats are great. I just wish I get a parking lot, right? Talk about money. Oh, change your life. Let's see. Robert Soar, Steeler fan Rob. That's why we are getting younger in the trenches. Duh. Yeah. Okay. Great. Do well. You didn't even draft any offensive players. You're trusting DK Metcalf and Pickens, right? And somewhere along the way, you stopped throwing the ball to Freiermuth. Okay. Jalen Warren, all right, I guess. And then Caleb Johnson. Yeah. You let Najee Harris walk. All right. Let's see. Joe from Seattle. I still call the Chargers San Diego. Hey, I do it too. Joe, thank you for clicking on. If you're a Seahawk fan, welcome. Please hit like and subscribe. And I try to talk a lot of division football here, but thank you for being here. Tim Burns, Don't make Steeler fan Rob cry, Joe. Mason is his GM. Is his game one starter. I'm sorry. There we go. He may never stop crying. Steve Ramirez. That's why I use Dodgers Express, Joe. Free bus rides from Union Station. Oh, how is it? Is it good, those free bus rides? I don't like riding on a bus too often. I don't know. All right, guys. We're coming up to an hour here. I'm going to pull the plug on this one. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for being patient with me. I was in board meetings. Board meeting ended Friday night. I was hoping to go on the air, but the room didn't clear. That was the problem. And it was like 50 degrees outside for me to go to the patio and do it from my laptop there. So I apologize for not being on the air, but I do appreciate it. I didn't even take a break and tell you what I do. But thanks to our sponsors at Kissler Law for supporting us. Thank you guys for buying my books on Amazon. And it keeps me sustained in my day job as I pastor a small church in Burbank called Burbank Faith Nazarene. Burbank Faith right here on YouTube called Burbank Faith Virtual. Also, I think I told you guys last week when I had come back from my injury there, I am waiting surgery. So at some point, I'm meeting my surgeon next week. I just got a hernia, sitting probably too long, and arguing with Steeler fan Rob, who I got to be nice to because I'm going to stay in his house this summer. I'm going to have surgery sometime soon, hopefully this month. So you might see me down for a couple days. Maybe we should work on a backup and have a substitute guy come in. All right, guys. God bless. Oh, and Edwards, right? And Edwards wants this, right? He wants a Lakers scalp in his locker room, right? And Edwards wants this. And that was fun to watch yesterday. A lot of fun to watch. Okay. Go Timberwolves. There you go. Go Knicks. There you go. Go Clips. Okay, guys. God bless. Take care. Thanks for hanging out. Be sure to hit like. Be sure to check us out on Spotify. From the RamCave on Spotify. Be sure to buy a book. Okay, guys. God bless. Take care.